The history of Nigeria can never be completely told until we have spoken about certain times as an independent nation. Today, we'll be showcasing a lady who experienced one of the very critical times in the lives of Nigeria after independence. She is one person who has gone round the world, conquered, and is here to share a whole lot for us. My name is Elizabeth Abai, and the show is Prime Woman's Day. Now you see a bit of my guest, but that was just a little bit of the icing on the cake. I'll get to have her tell us more about herself deeply. She's seated in here with me, and I'll say, welcome to the show, Dr. Ngozi Ukeje. I know you're very importantly a princess. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
One thing I like is the way I go into people's places, take a position and turn into my studio. And that's me telling you, welcome to my studio. Meanwhile, it's actually your own.
Thank you for transforming the studio.
All right. We've been on your tail for so long, and you've been trying to, work me out not to talk. But I said, yes, we must. Nigeria is about 65 and counting. And like I did say in the opening session, that we can't run away from certain things that happen, because for everything we go through, it's a learning curve. And I know for you, the Biafran War, the Nigerian Civil War, it was a learning curve. You want to share a bit of that for me?
Where do you start? Because every part of it that you think about brings back memories that sometimes you don't want to really dwell on, because it becomes very emotional. When the Civil War broke out, I was in secondary school, boarding school. And unfortunately, we were not told much of anything. We were just told that our parents are coming to pick us up, to pack a few things from what we had at school. It was just going to be a few days and we'll be coming back to school.
Few days ago.
Yeah, a few days. Turned out to 3.5 years. And you can imagine you're in secondary school, you don't really have a whole lot of things with you in terms of what you can bring to secondary school, boarding school, because most of the time you're in uniforms. So I think I had probably 5 dresses.
Oh, wow.
A few pairs of underwear, my comb and brush, toothbrush. I don't even remember if I had toothpaste with me, but that's all I had with me because I was in secondary school. So my father came, picked me up. By that time, he had the rest of my siblings in the car. They had already packed because they were home. So they had a nice amount of clothes. And we never went back. So for the first year, I lived in those 5 dresses until we could find someone to start making us clothes. By this time, people were running around. People didn't know what was happening. Many of the tailors had closed their shop. So yeah, it was not one of those wonderful times that you want to remember in your life. Of course, everybody experienced it from their own point of view. The blessing that we had is that my father had already almost finished building the house that we have in the village. So we were able to live there and not try and figure out where we were going to live. And then he turned one of his farms into a refugee camp, because by this time people were running from all over and had no place to go. So we became a family that provided shelter and succor for people.
A lot of people. Yeah. I'm sure there was such a shortage of food.
Oh, there was a lot of shortage of food. My youngest sister at that time was 2 years old. So she was still on baby food. So can you imagine finding baby food at that time for a child that we were just trying to wean off of milk? It was not easy. It was not easy at all. Um, and then, of course, just living, just trying to live from day to day. As a professor at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, the university had closed, no salaries.
Okay, so now fast forward to after the war, you still went back to school. And I know that your father, being who he was the greatest mathematician, right?
Yes.
And he was actually a professor of mathematics, right? Okay,
Yes.
so he made effort to ensure that you guys went back to school.
Oh yeah. Even during the war, he was one of the individuals within our village who made sure that a school was opened so that those children who were there, even though there was war around us, were able to get an education. They didn't know how they were going to get paid, but they agreed
Volunteered.
to go in and start to teach us. And so we had at least 1 year of education before everything else went.
You picked up your ability to, do a lot of volunteer work, provide succor based on your experiences. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Based on my experiences and also based on my family. My mother and my father were givers. And I, as a child, the oldest child in the family, got a chance to see a lot of that. And be part of, because my mother was one of those, you're around, you have 2 legs and 2 hands, you're doing to do something. You're not going to sit around. So she would grab you and say, okay, go move this, go carry this. So yeah, volunteerism has been part of my life from what I can remember.
Just recently, you had some outreach where you also volunteered for over 60 people. Yes. On healthcare. Yes. And I'm told that it was free.
100% free to all the participants. We were able to minister to over 60 individuals within a local community here in Abuja. And they got free blood pressure checks and free diabetes checks. I mean, if anybody has looked at the price of diabetes equipment, they'll know that that came, but all of it was paid for by donations from well-wishers. And they were also able to get some free counseling for some of their needs and their questions. And we were there for about 4 hours ministering to that community. The little kids got candy. We gave away water and crackers, and everybody was just so accommodating. Very humbling experience.
Yes, actually. Now, when you finished secondary school, you moved outside Nigeria. Yes, to study. Yes. And beyond just studying, you were also working, I'm told, somewhere around New York, am I right? Yes. Okay. Yes. And I'd like to know, and you came out as a teacher. Why did you choose teaching?
Actually, I was always teaching. I've always been teaching.
I know you've read other things, but it looked like you have always preferred to be a teacher.
And a counselor.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them have been kind of hand in hand. Yes, things that I've done over the years. But my first degree was in psychology. But even whilst I was doing my degree, I was doing some teaching on the side. So that's part of the work. I was also doing some health clinics on the side. So I've been in the health field, I would say because of my mother. My mother was a nurse for years. And so at some point, they all thought I was going to be a nurse or a doctor.
No.
And my first term in chemistry, and I looked at my grades, I said, oh no, we're not doing this. So I switched and switched over to psychology, which for me was a great move because it gave me a chance to really understand human nature and to understand the psychology or the psyche of us as human beings. And so it gives me a wonderful appreciation for people, no matter their state in life.
You've done a whole lot with the humanitarian people, including the philanthropy. How do we begin, to infuse humanitarian activities and spirits, more or less, in our, fellow Nigerians? Because I feel it's one of the things that will bring back the glory we have as Nigerians.
Growing up in Nigeria, philanthropy was kind of the order of the day. Your neighbor would not have, they would come and you would supply. Without asking for anything back in return or asking them how they're going to repay it or anything like that. So that was the Nigeria I grew up in.
This neighbor you're talking about, was it Hausa or Igbo, Yoruba?
It didn't matter as long as they were human.
Okay.
As long as they were human. We sometimes gave some animals some food, but that was not the case. As long as the people were human and they knocked on the door and they asked, you had, you gave. There was no question. Didn't say, oh, you're not my tribe. You don't speak my language. None of that. We were what I would call tribeless, if there's any such word. If not, I just made it up. Didn't ask you who your father or your mother was. None of that. The door was always open. I remember many a times the front door of our house was always open. You can't do that now. Everybody's so security conscious. You're afraid to go out because, yeah, do you know who? I used to pick up people on the streets. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I'd be driving down the streets and somebody's walking. It's hot. I'd stop. Where are you going? Let's see if you're going in my direction. I'd give you a ride. My family said to me, are you drunk? Is there something wrong with you? I'm like, why? What did I do? You don't know the person. No, I just saw them on the street. And you picked them up. Supposing something happens to you. But see, I never could think that way. That was never the way I grew up. And to come back to the Nigeria that we're in now, you asked me, what can we do? We need to start with ourselves. Change starts with you. So you need to be the change agent. And when people are around you, hopefully that will rub off on them. Also, we have an Institute for Humanitarian Studies and Social Development in Abuja, actually the only one in Africa as of now. And in that institute, I happen to be a fellow of that institute. We do teach you a little bit about what it means to be a humanitarian and how that is so important in our culture and in the world that we're in now. So yes, there are ways of doing that, teaching, getting people involved. When I do some of these outreaches, I try to get the young people involved because they're the future. And if they don't know how to have empathy and compassion now, we're going to have problems later.
It's something I wish we can. I don't know how we're going to do that magic, but I wish we can, speed it up and make sure that people get to understand that we're just humans. The same blood running through our veins. Now, bloods don't have tribes. No. They don't have religion. No. They don't have.
And they don't have color.
They don't have color. It's the same red, actually. That's nice. Now let me get back to you home a little bit. I know that at a point when you got pregnant with your twin girls, okay, you took a back seat from the work, and I happen to know someone who did that. But to get back to the office was a problem, because the house chores totally consumed her. But here you are, bouncing back like nothing happened. How did you do it?
I sought help.
Oh, wow.
Well, the twins happened to be my last set of children. So I had two older children, and I'd always taught them to do stuff for themselves and to be able to do the laundry, sweep, cook. So
was that not child labor?
No, it wasn't child labor. It was that or we don't eat. You can boil an egg. You may not be able to make stew, but that's okay. You can boil an egg. You can put the rice on. I'll tell you, when not to burn it. But they have to learn at some point.
I'm just hearing your mother, you're trying to do back what your mother did to you, making sure that you learn it well, passing the tradition. Okay.
And one of the things I always told my boys, I said, you don't know what you're going to do in life, and you don't know how long it's going to take you to find a wife. And you may find a wife who doesn't want to cook or clean. So you better know how to do that too. So that was my whole concept of life. So that's how we survived. And then my sister came to live with us for a while. But like I said, I sought help. I didn't try to be a superwoman. And yes, when went back to work, I went part-time first to get back into the swing of things before now moving into a full-time position.
Okay, little wonder you said, of all that you have been able to accomplish in life, the greatest gift you have been able to, give to yourself is the gift of being a mother and a grandmother of 10. That's nice. I wish all of us can learn to appreciate the fact that being able to do that is a full time job on its own. Yeah. But if you're lucky to have extra, we thank God for it. Yeah. But then, how do you, relate with this family? How do you find time with all you are board member of every almost everything around. You're a board member. You're teaching. You're doing this. You're doing that. How do you find time for family?
Well, in the world that we're in today, technology makes it a lot easier. So we have platforms. We have sibling platforms. We have family platforms. So we try to connect as much as possible.
You have mothers children platform.
Yeah, I mean, and they are busy because all my children now are full adults. They all have their own families. So I've always said to them, one of the things I will not do to them is interfere with their lives. So I call, how are you? Good, fine, good, move on. I don't ask you whether your house is turning upside down. I don't ask you whether your spouse did whatever. It's none of my business. It's your business, you deal with it. If you decide to ask me a question, I'm available, I'll answer the question.
So you're, as a mother-in-law, you're not going to go into that house
not at
and
all.
ask, why is the plate not like this?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, when I go to visit, I close my eyes and that's it. Whatever is there, when I leave, it's still there. I have not made any attempt to move it, to even tell anybody to move it. I don't. It's not, I'm a guest. Yeah, I am your mother or your mother-in-law, but I am a guest. This is your house, not mine. When you come to my house, that's a whole different ballgame.
It's a good lesson for mother-in-laws because a lot of times mothers always say, okay, it's my son or it's my daughter, so he or she must listen to me. But at the end of the day, we tell ourselves the truth. As soon as your children are married, they become extended family. I mean, no, you are the extended family. Okay, it's good to know. And I still want to ask you, how do you unwind? How do you relax?
Oh, every once in a while, I treat myself. Like the other day, I treated myself to a pedicure and a manicure. And, sometimes I don't always get my hair braided. So every once in a while, for me, that's a treat. So I'll go get my hair braided and I'm like, okay, this looks good. I don't have to worry about my hair for about 2 weeks. So yeah.
Apart from the hair, what other things do you do for relaxation?
I'll go to a movie. If I have extra money, I'll take a trip somewhere. But I read, and I just kind of, sometimes God and I just have some fun. I listen to music, a lot of spiritual, inspirational music. Yeah, those kinds of things. And then I talk to people. I'm always talking.
I mean, when we walked in, you and God usually will have, some communication, and you tell him you want to share that bit with us.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm old, so we can't not count years. But since I've known who God is in my life, I take the tiniest issue to him. Like the other day, I was looking for my car keys. Now, I generally know where I leave my car keys, but for some reason, it wasn't in the general spot. And I looked for it for about 10, 15 minutes, and I couldn't find my keys. Then I said, wait a minute, why am I stressing? God knows where my keys are. God is your daughter again. You know that one called Ngozi? I know you're listening to me. I'm not moving another step until you tell me where I put my keys, because this is wasting time. So I sat down and I just kind of, communed and said, God, I'm just waiting. You tell me when. And then he dropped it in my spirit around where I might have left the keys. And sure enough,
And it was there.
when I went there, that's where it came. I said, see, Dad, I love you, Father. You just know how to take care of your daughter. So these are those kinds of things. Or I tell people I'm not a cook, but when people come, I go into the kitchen and say, God, I have guests. What am I cooking for them now?
So God is going to whisper the recipe for
He
you.
whispers the
And
recipe.
does
for
it
me.
come out real nice?
Many a time, nobody has vomited or had a. I go to him for everything.
It's beautiful. Phone a friend, and God is there for you to phone, and it works real good.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, talking about phone a friend, yesterday he dropped a friend's name in my spirit, and I realized I hadn't spoken to her in over 3 months. So I immediately sent her a message. I said, "Hey, are you okay? I've not heard from you in a long time." And she immediately messaged back and said, "Oh, thank you so much for thinking about me. Yes, I've been through some stuff, but I'm okay now. I traveled, I'm back. When can we see?"
It's a beautiful thing. Sometimes it takes only just reaching out for you to make a change in somebody's life. And when that spirit calls, we shouldn't let it go. It's wonderful talking with you, but I will not go until I've extracted one more thing from you. You say you're not young, you're old, and you're not counting age. But I'm looking at you. You're very energetic, and you look very very relaxed, very healthy. Is there a special recipe? Was it from God? How are you looking healthy?
Well, a long time ago, I had a conversation again with my father, God, and I told him, God, if you keep me long so it can impact a lot of lives, I'm not going to have a stressful life. I promise I will not let anything stress me out.
How do you remove stress? Because it must happen. You're in Nigeria.
Oh yeah, I'm in Nigeria. I just say, well, God, I'm a Nigerian, not by accident. You created me a Nigerian. It's not an accident that I'm home. So you're going to work it out. So we don't have any lights now, so fine. I'll just wait till the lights come on, or maybe we'll have to turn on the gen. Or I'm in Nigeria. I don't use anything else as a yardstick. If I'm in the United States, I'm in the United States. But if I'm in Nigeria, I'm in Nigeria. So I deal with Nigeria as Nigeria presents itself. I don't try to make it what it isn't.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful time with you. And I must tell you, I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus.